Time for the world this week. 7 days, 4 Paris-based correspondents, 1 hour with us. Christopher Dickey of Newsweek and The Daily Beast. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Also with us, Craig Copetas of Quartz and The Atlantic. Craig, who brought along one of his books, Bear Hunting with the Politburo, which has been re-edited. We'll be talking about this a little bit more in part 2 of our discussion. Also with us from the Russian language service of Radio France International, Helena Servettaz. Thank you and welcome for coming and welcome to the show. And welcome as well to Emma Kate Symons of the Australian Financial Review. Welcome back to The World This Week. The World This Week, where you can always join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, our hashtag TWTW. And sort of a philosophical question, what is 7 days in a person's life? Take, for instance, France's former president. On Tuesday, Nicolas Sarkozy getting a warm welcome in Tripoli, there to mark the second anniversary of the French-led UN intervention to stop Muammar Gaddafi's forces. But on Thursday, he was in the French city of Bordeaux, under indictment for what the French call abuse of weakness, breach of trust. An investigating magistrate feels there's enough evidence to convict him of twisting the arm of France's richest woman when he was raising funds for his winning run for president in 2007, Liliane Bettencourt, the L'Oréal heiress. It's a story that I guess part of the surprise of this story, because it's not something new for people who follow French politics. This has been coming out in drips and drabs for years now, this case. But Emma Kate Symons, the surprise, I guess, is the surprise that in the French press, everyone's surprised that he's under formal investigation.
Absolutely. In fact, I noticed last night Le Monde didn't even put an alert out very quickly. I got the news via a foreign news service and on Twitter. But it's happened so quickly. I mean, Sarkozy lost his job when? Last year in May, 9 months ago. Although I did note that Chirac was already put under investigation about 6 months after he left office. So this is becoming a bit of a pattern, isn't it? But really, only a few weeks ago, we've been talking about Sarkozy coming back in 2017. This week, his wife, Carla Bruni, has been out there singing her love songs to him, Mon Raymond, and calling Hollande a penguin. And suddenly there he is, indicted, twisting the arm of Liliane Bettencourt. Well, the UMP, his party, is saying it's a conspiracy. Do you think he's the victim of a conspiracy, Craig? They just want to stop him. And it's great for Hollande because it means that this week there's been no talk about France's parlous economy. I mean, France is really sinking in economic terms, but that's been off the radar with Cyprus and with Sarkozy. You
mentioned those spin doctors. An army of them have been berating the investigating magistrate. Jean-Michel Gentil is his name. Take, for instance, the Friends of Nicolas Sarkozy Twitter feed. It posted a comment by MP and confidant Henri Guénaud, who says the decision by magistrate Gentil is irresponsible. Who can imagine Nicolas Sarkozy taking advantage of an elderly woman? Helena Servettaz.
Yes, the same words Laurent Wauquiez already said yesterday, and Thierry Mariani, who represent France abroad in Russia. So, of course, I can understand their reaction. And also, we remember that 48 hours, we got another big scandal about ex-budget minister of Hollande.
Who had to step down because he had a Swiss bank account.
Yes. So, now we got one.
Or allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly had a Swiss bank account. Christopher Dickey, there is this issue now in France. Everybody's discussing about the separation between the executive and the judicial branches of power.
Well, they are not as separate as they are in the United States, and they certainly feel a lot more political at times. I don't know if this is a political investigation or not. Certainly it'll be claimed that it is a political investigation. The idea that Sarkozy would twist the arm of a little old lady so he could get millions of dollars or whatever amount of money for his campaign strikes me as eminently plausible.
Well, he needed the money for his campaign, and she had a lot of it.
Craig Copetas?
Well, poor Sarko, he's just the latest of a long line of political piñatas in this country that they love to knock around after they get out of office. Same thing as you said, it happened to Chirac. It does take the focus off the really important things that are going on here. It's a sideshow. Politicians are in the business of twisting old ladies' arms to get money to run their campaigns. I don't think anyone here is any shock horror about that. you do kind of have to suspect that there are forces behind this that are pushing this with the magistrate. But again, I think that it's a sideshow to what France really
Can he come back politically?
God, I hope not.
I think he can come back.
He can.
I think Hollande is in such trouble.
Well, he is. Yeah. But
Where is Hollande on Cyprus? Where is he?
Where's Hollande on anything?
Where,
I mean,
Sure.
He's driving around in a Volvo with a gun rack.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of those loftier issues, as you were saying that, and really, there's one that really could be. This could turn out to have been a historic week, an historic breakthrough. Supporters of the Kurdish separatist PKK turned out by the hundreds of thousands Thursday in the eastern Turkish city of Diyarbakir. There they heard the reading of a statement by jailed Kurdish rebel leader Abdullah Öcalan ordering a ceasefire and the withdrawal from Turkish soil of his forces, a first step to ending a conflict that's killed 40,000 over the past 3 decades, and really a statement that was cautiously welcomed by Turkey's prime minister.
I think this is a very positive approach. It's a very positive appeal. But what's most important is how far this will be implemented.
All right, so it's only the start with Christopher Dickey.
Well, people are going to question the credibility of this statement because, among other things, Öcalan has been in prison alone in a cell on an island since, 1999?
99, yeah.
And who's he had to talk to there? His keepers, the police, the government, Erdogan's people, were basically telling him every day, this is what's going on. They give him his information, and they say, this is what we'd like from you.
But his supporters, who we saw in those images, they were cheering that message.
Yeah, they were, because people do want peace. And I think it is a good moment for him to say this, and I hope that he's absolutely sincere and that everybody signs on to it. But even here in Paris, we saw a murder a few weeks ago that probably was related to these kinds of initiatives that were going on. The war is not over yet.
No, but Erdogan, it seems to be really has goodwill on this front. Is he going to win the Peace Prize? This week he's on the phone via Obama speaking to Netanyahu. Now there's this peace deal apparently with the PKK. I mean, is it like the deal with the IRA, Craig? I don't know.
This is bigger.
Bigger?
This is a big deal. Watch this space. There's 30 million Kurds who have been traipsing around 4 countries for quite some time. And what this does is that Turkey has now empowered the Kurds, which is something that the Syrians would never do, the Iranians weren't going to do, and the Iraqis aren't going to do. Now, if you look in Iraq right now with the Kurdish issue, and this is really, really critical, ExxonMobil, which is doing the drilling for the oil up in the Kurdish part, has done deals with local Kurdish officials to drill. And Baghdad has been yelling and screaming about this and saying they might even have military intervention to stop these deals between ExxonMobil and the Kurdish majority up there. And what's fascinating about this is that Exxon is paying no attention to this. So what this does is there may just
with
be
a pipeline that would go out through Turkey.
Exactly. So this, personally, if I'm looking down the road a year, I'm looking at the beginning of a Kurdish state here.
Well, I think that if we were looking at the beginning of a Kurdish state, Erdogan wouldn't be doing any of this at all. I don't think that he's interested in that.
I think he would, Chris.
No,
I think he would.
So.
I think he's.
You think he's going to give away a third of Turkey? I don't think so.
No. It's going to be.
You mean in Iraq?
In Iraq.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
In Iraq, not in Turkey. And I think if you put onto this the fact what Erdogan has been doing on the Syrian border, taking in those refugees, many of whom have been Kurds. Yeah. He is lining up for the Peace Prize.
I think it's a more cynical policy than that. I think one of the reasons that we're seeing Erdogan taking these moves right now is partly because his Arab initiative, his Muslim Brotherhood initiative, is not panning out so well. It's not going well, certainly in Syria. It's going disastrously in Egypt, where the Muslim Brotherhood is being discredited every day. It's not doing well in Jordan. It's not doing well anywhere you look. That was sort of the underpinning for a lot of his regional policy. I think that's going down the tubes. So, time to make up with Israel, time to settle things with the Kurds, if it's possible.
Yep.
And Muslim Brotherhood thing.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
And which is crucial, because it brings us to the timing of the announcement that came out this Friday of the Israeli Prime Minister issuing an apology for the attack on that flotilla bound for Gaza in 2009. A reporter in Jerusalem telling us that Obama said he wasn't going to get on that plane until Netanyahu had called up Erdogan to apologize. Why is all this? Is there a link between what happened on Thursday with the PKK and this apology coming out of Israel on Friday?
Well, I think what everybody is desperate for now is stability. And I think that, including the Turks, and especially the Turks, they're right in the region. And I think that they want to see things done. They'd like to clear the decks on some old problems. This problem that dates back to the attack on the flotilla, why does that still need to be on the table? If the United States can get Bibi to apologize, great. Erdogan says, fine, I'll take it, let's move on. Ambassadors are restored, and you have something stabilizing in the region, because the region is incredibly volatile right now. We've all talked about the volatile Middle East for years and years, decades, hundreds, centuries. It's never been any more volatile than it is right now.
But the U.S. is stepping back in a sense. I mean, Obama was criticized by some observers this week for giving some beautiful speeches, talking about peace, but is he really ready to step up to the plate and push Netanyahu and the Palestinians to really...
The problem again and again for any American policymaker is, can we fix this? Is it actually in our power to fix this?
No, perhaps not.
And the answer is no, we can't fix the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They have to fix that themselves. We can't fix Syria. We can't go in there and say, okay, now you guys just settle down, make peace, and everything will be fine. Can't do that. It won't work.
But in Israel, surely presidential authority could be brought to bear in a way that evidently U.S. foreign policy, I mean, Syria is too difficult.
There are a couple of ways. It's America's only real ally in the region. They're not going to give that up.
Sure.
Well, it's not just that.
They need to push a bit.
I think that we can expect him to be pretty tough on Netanyahu going forward. This was a love fest. I really do care about you Israelis. I really do care about Israel. I'm going to Yad Vashem, of course. I'm going to Herzl's grave. I'm going to every place that I should go.
And I brought a tree.
And I love you. And you know I love you. The tough love part comes a little later.
I wanted to ask about that. It was evident at the outset. You saw Barack Obama descend from the plane on Wednesday and going to great pains to show that he's not one to hold a grudge. Look, matching neckties. How about that? Even though Benjamin Netanyahu openly supported Obama's opponent when he ran for re-election last year. And there was a lot of backslapping, a lot of calling him Bibi. Did you get the sense that it was Obama or Netanyahu that had the upper hand during this visit?
No, I think Obama had the upper hand. I think Bibi bet on the wrong horse. He bet on Romney. Of course, he'd been a business partner of Romney's way back when, and he thought that he has always bet on the conservatives in the Republican Party to take care of Israeli policy for him and take care of him. This goes way back, but I think there's nothing that puts you in a stronger position than to have defeated someone and then to embrace them. And I think that's exactly what Obama's doing in this case. He defeated Netanyahu on American turf, and now he's gone to Israel and say, see, I really do love you, Bibi.
But how to move beyond that backslapping, because it could be almost like George W. Bush with Vladimir Putin. There was a lot of camaraderie, bonhomie between them, but really look how relations between...
George W. Bush was a fool. Obama is no fool.
He's no fool, but he's often criticized for this capacity to speak eloquently and not necessarily fully engage himself. So perhaps he could
again, this discussion, we've had this, others have had it for the past 40 years. Until this is all wheel spinning, as the Russians say, pokazuka. It means nothing. Until the Israelis decide to stop building settlements and the Muslim world says, we recognize the state of Israel. Everything we see here now is just very nice opera bouffe.
Well, there's actually been a proposal on the books for a long time from Saudi Arabia to do just that, to have the whole Muslim world recognize Israel.
And just before we go to the break, Christopher Dickey, I know you're just recently back from Jordan, and it was the last leg of Barack Obama's trip, perhaps one a bit overlooked by a lot of the press. How important is that visit to Jordan?
Well, he agreed to give Jordan $200 million desperately needed dollars to shore it up. But Jordan is much more stable than other countries in the region, but that doesn't mean it's stable. It is, the king is in a really tough position there, and he's very uncomfortable in that position, as was revealed in an interview he gave to the Atlantic Monthly, where he basically dissed everybody you can think of. He dissed all the regional leaders. He dissed the Muslim Brotherhood, of course, they're his opponents, but he dissed his own family. He said he'd had members of them arrested. It was just an extraordinary kind of flame out, which I think is a reflection of the tensions that
and with the
exist
pressure
there.
from neighboring Syria, how tenuous is his job position right now?
Well, he would make you think that that is making his position tenuous, that all these refugees coming into the country are a huge problem. Of course they are. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of refugees. But Jordan has had inflows of hundreds of thousands of refugees many, many times, and usually has been strengthened by the experience.
Starting with Palestinians.
Yeah. It's usually been strengthened by the experience. Now, the real problem for him is his own core constituency, the East Bankers, as they're called, the old Bedouin tribes and sheikhs who used to love his father and do not love him.
All right, so watch the inner circle, not what's going on outside. When we come back in the world this week, we're going to look at that botched bailout for Cyprus and the story of a dead man on trial in Moscow. Stay with us.